Okay, so when you picture the Sahara, what comes to mind? Probably just a sea of golden emptiness, right? For centuries, that was pretty much the story. But what if I told you that scattered across that so-called emptiness, there are literally thousands of ancient monuments? Yeah, it's that classic image, beautiful, vast, but ultimately lifeless. And for a long, long time, that's what we all believed. But that whole idea, it's being completely overturned. And not by digging in the sand, but by looking down from the sky. Because the moment you look at the Sahara through the lens of a satellite, well, that emptiness just vanishes. And suddenly you see them, thousands of mysterious man-made stone structures. It's like a lost world of monuments, scattered across one of the most inhospitable places on the entire planet. So you're probably asking, how on earth are we finding all these? This is where the story gets really, really cool. This is not your old school archaeology with shovels and brushes. Not at all. We're in the era of the digital explorer, where some of the biggest discoveries are being made from thousands of miles away. That's right, I'm talking about freely available tools like Google Earth. It means that researchers, and get this, even dedicated hobbyists, can scan these huge, seemingly featureless desert landscapes right from their own desks. They're like a new generation of tomb hunters, charting a forgotten history from their computer screens. And the process itself, it's almost like a game. You start by just scanning these massive, high-resolution satellite maps. You're looking for anything that breaks the natural pattern of the desert. Circles, straight lines, these strange keyhole shapes. When you find one, you just mark its coordinates. And boom, you've just cataloged a piece of ancient history. And this quote just illustrates the appeal so perfectly. People say it's addictive. Because once you start spotting these strange shapes in the sand, it is really hard to stop. It totally transforms the Sahara from just a blank spot on the map into this incredible landscape filled with secrets, just waiting to be rediscovered. And the results, they're absolutely staggering. Think about this. Back in 1966, archaeologists had only documented about 158 of these monuments. Fast forward to 2009, and thanks to this digital archaeology, that number had exploded to over 600. And it's still growing. We are filling in the blanks on the map faster than ever before. Okay, so what are these explorers actually finding? Well, they're not cities or fortresses. Nope. The vast majority are burial monuments, built way, way before the arrival of Islam in North Africa. Now, when we say pre-Islamic, we're talking about a huge stretch of time here. These tombs were built by cultures that thrived in this region for millennia, long before the Arab conquest came and reshaped everything. And they come in several distinct and honestly, quite beautiful forms. So first up, we've got the keyhole tomb. And yeah, you can see exactly why it gets that name. It's got this circular mound, or a tumulus, that's the technical term, with a long, straight pathway leading out from it. It creates this totally distinctive and unmistakable shape when you see it from above. Then you've got the antenna tomb, and these are just incredible. They have a central mound with these two long arms, or antenna, stretching way out, sometimes for over 300 meters. That's huge! From the ground, they'd be really hard to appreciate, but from space, wow. They look like giant stone swallows flying across the desert. And finally, we see a lot of these crescent mounds. Now, these are a bit simpler, often just V-shaped or crescent-shaped piles of stone. But make no mistake, they're all part of the same ancient tradition of building these huge monuments out here in the Sahara. And it's important to remember these tombs weren't all built at once, not even close. This timeline shows they span thousands of years. Some of them date back over 5,000 years, to a time when the Sahara was actually a greener savanna teeming with life. I mean, just try to picture that. That was the landscape these ancient people knew. All right, so we know what they are and how we're finding them, but the really big question, the one you're probably asking, is why, right? Why build them this way? Well, it turns out that thousands of these tombs, separated by huge distances and even centuries, share one absolutely astonishing feature, and it gives us a huge clue. And here's the kicker, they almost all face east. The pathway of a keyhole tomb, the open arms of an antenna tomb, they are all oriented toward the sunrise. I mean, that just cannot be a coincidence. It has to point to some kind of deep, shared belief system. This eastward orientation is something we see in a lot of ancient cultures all over the world. And it's almost always connected to these big ideas about rebirth, the afterlife, and the sacred power of the sun. But the people who built these Saharan tombs, they took it to a whole other level. See, they didn't just point vaguely east. No way. Their alignments fall within the precise arc the sun travels along the horizon throughout the entire year. We're talking from its northernmost rising point at the summer solstice all the way to its southernmost point at the winter solstice. This wasn't guesswork. This was intentional. This is astronomy.
This consistent, careful alignment tells us pretty clearly that the sun was absolutely central to their view of the universe. So these weren't just graves. You could almost think of them as machines for the soul, designed to align the person buried there with the life-giving, regenerative power of that rising sun.
But believe it or not, the story doesn't even end there. Because for at least one of these monuments, the solar alignment is way more than just symbolic. It is so shockingly precise, it reveals a level of scientific knowledge that's been hidden in the sand for thousands of years. So let's zoom in on this one specific keyhole tomb. It's in the Illizi province of Algeria. Now, from a distance, it looks like a lot of the others. But if you take a closer look at its design, it reveals something that changes our understanding of these structures completely. So here it is, this specific tomb. Like I said, it looks like a lot of the others, right? But its design holds a secret that pretty much changes everything. So is it just a tomb, or is it something more? Okay, get ready for this. The stunning discovery is that these lines radiating out, they are not random. Not at all. One of them points to the exact spot of the sunrise on the winter solstice. The other one, it points to the exact sunrise on the summer solstice. This isn't just a tomb. It's a calendar, a precise astronomical device. One researcher just captured its significance perfectly with this quote. This structure was, in effect, a solar observatory. It allowed its builders to track the seasons and mark the most important solar events of the year, a kind of Saharan Stonehenge, but built not with massive towering stones, but with humble desert rocks arranged with just brilliant precision. And all of this leaves us with a final, pretty tantalizing thought. For thousands and thousands of years, this complex astronomical knowledge just lay there, completely unnoticed, dismissed as simple desert graves. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other profound secrets are still out there, just hidden in plain sight, waiting not for a shovel, but for us to simply look at our world from a new perspective?